Hi guys, so today I want to share another story with you. Today I want to talk about Jennifer Aydin says Melissa Gorga's baby storyline is fake and Marge calls her trashy at the reunion. Okay guys, let's talk about last night's reunion of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, which clearly Jennifer Aydin, who I call the sober drunk, was the star of the show, okay? I call her the sober drunk because she really acts like she's drunk, okay? But according to her, she's sober. I think she was the star of the show. I really like her. I mean, she's the best villain in the entire franchise, in my opinion. People hate her guts. I love her. And if it wasn't for her last night's reunion would have been boring. But according to the sober drunk, she just spiced it up and really started calling each and every person out, with the exception of Teresa Giudice, okay? She's not that dumb or that drunk. She knows that you don't mess with Teresa because that's her show, okay? But everybody else was open game. Who did she start with? Well, let's start with Melissa Gorga. So Melissa's telling her storyline of the season, which is how she wants to have another baby. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, here comes the sober drunk, okay? And like most drunks, she brings the truth with her. She says, I don't believe that. You're too self-absorbed to have another baby. As a matter of fact, I think the whole baby storyline is fake and made up. How on earth can a person be drunk and sober at the same time? I don't know. That's something Jennifer Aydin has to sort out in her head. All I know is I'm loving every single minute of it, and she took the words right out of my mouth. Melissa, are you really trying to have a baby? Don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I'm glad the sober drunk called out the lie, okay? At least in my opinion, this is a bold-faced lie. Because without this baby storyline, you really have absolutely nothing to talk about. I don't think there should be a petition to get you kicked off the show. I think you should remain on the show, but let's just acknowledge the obvious, and that's Melissa Gorga has absolutely no storyline. So thank you, sober drunk. And even though the sober drunk gave Melissa an opportunity to tell the truth, come clean, she stuck to her story. She said that all of her storylines were real, including the restaurant that they opened and lost, including her turning 40, and including her really wanting to have a baby, and she does believe she has a long lost sister. Okay, Melissa. Now let's move on to Margaret. So Margaret revealed last night that growing up, Marge Sr. was a heavy partier with serious drinking issues. She said that, and I don't know if you guys have been around a heavy partier or drinker, but it puts you on pins and needles because it makes you have to be the responsible one. And basically, that's how she described her childhood. She was always worried about her mother. She also said that she doesn't know her father. She doesn't even know if he's alive or if he's not alive. And she said it as if it was no big deal. But she said that's why she took her parenting, her stepchildren and her one biological child very seriously. And till this day, she doesn't drink because of Marge Sr. And somehow the conversation gets wrapped back around to sober drunks' parenting skills. I believe it was Jennifer who says, well, were you a working mom? Oh gosh, these two go back and forth. Margaret explained how that she didn't mean that being a stay-at-home mom was not an important job. She just said it wasn't important to Jennifer because Jennifer has help. So Jennifer goes into her spiel again, how I just have one nanny and one babysitter, and it is a hard job, and these two are going back at it again. Now, listen, I hate to tell you this, sober drunk, but it is easier to parent when you have help, okay? And I'll just leave it at that because being a stay-at-home mom is a serious job. It's not something that I take lightly. Some people think it's not a job at all. It is a job, but I have to be real. It's easier if you have help and you have more than one person to help you, okay? You got your mom, you got your babysitter, and your nanny. You have help, okay? Just admit it, sober drunk. You don't have it as hard as the rest of us when it comes to raising your children as far as getting help. You could take a nap in the middle of the day. We can't. Now let's move on. Then there was Jackie. Jackie talked about her eating disorder, and she said that just watching the season back was hard for her to watch because you relive it every time you watch it. And she said that her weight is something that she still struggles with to this day. She doesn't have a eating disorder anymore, but she still struggles with it. And I guess the scene where she wouldn't eat and she only had those chips, and Margaret pointed it out during the season, was hard for her to watch because she could see how it looks like she still has a eating disorder, but she doesn't have a disorder. She struggles with food, okay? And it's just really hard to talk about. And I can't believe she's even opening up herself and telling that side, because she's not the only one in the franchise with the eating disorder, but she's the only one that talks about it. And so that's good, and maybe she could help someone else. Then there was Dolores. She basically talked about her relationship with David and how she's not going to move in with him until she's engaged. So I'm going to take that to mean that these two are never going to move in together because he's never getting engaged to her. Like, duh. I hate to hurt her feelings. I mean, I don't want to hurt her feelings, but he doesn't like you. Is that bad? I mean, let's just be real. I've seen inmates that had to clean porta potties happier than these two. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, even the sober drunk agrees with me. She had to jump in the conversation and say that Dolores was just settling. I mean, finally. Thank you, sober drunk. Someone finally said what I was thinking, because Dolores is not getting a clue, people. Dolores, get a clue. He's just not that into you. And can you get the clue sometime this year? I'm getting really tired of waiting. Is that bad? And then basically Margaret and Melissa Gorga really came after Jennifer and her behavior at the Jersey Shore. Margaret said her behavior was trashy and she always tries to be funny when her timing is off. Melissa agreed. Jennifer stood up for herself and said, every time I say something, my timing's off. But every time Joe Gorga says something, it's funny. And then Melissa said, well, maybe because you're an a-hole. Okay. But another thing that Jennifer admitted to was all of her plastic surgery that she's gotten in 1 year. Okay, she looks amazing. She looks totally different than when she came on the show the previous season. All of this work done. I believe she said she got lipo in her back and other places, and then a tummy tuck, and she said something else, but she's gotten a lot of plastic surgery, but she looks amazing. She really does. And she cops to it. She was like, yeah, I mean, do you think if your husband was a plastic surgeon that you would look different too? I mean, I probably would. I mean, all that work done for free? I mean, you can't hate on her. I probably would do it too. Okay, guys, that's my quick review of last night's episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 10 reunion. Now, they're just getting started. We haven't even begun to bring on Danielle Staub. So it was okay for a part 1, but I can't wait for 2 and 3. So what I want to know today in my comment section is, what did you guys think of last night's reunion? And does anybody else like Jennifer Aydin? Am I the only one? Can someone be my friend and stand by my side, please? Also, if you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.